Philosophers talk about the basic problem, describing whether or not a person can genuinely choose independent of their nature. They seem to begin their inquiry by concerning themselves with the intuitive feel of the phenomena of choice, and then logically questioning whether or not such a thing is possible. They might concern themselves with whether or not the universe is deterministic, or if indeterminism can provide an avenue to genuine freedom. They might construct elaborate thought experiments encouraging us to consider moral intuition, but a fair analysis of the problem itself reveals an infinitely difficult problem for the concept. The first premise of the concept is that a self exists that is capable of making decisions. It follows that whatever decision the self makes, it came from the nature of the self, since the self existed before it made its decision, and its decision followed from its nature. It could not be morally responsible for causing the decision. Even if the self was capable of changing by choice, that choice would have already followed from the nature of the self. What people consider to be the self in these cases is not the entirety of their bodies or minds. They seem to be referring to a control center, although on other occasions they refer to an emotional aspect of their character. Again, we will end up finding ourselves chasing our tail into infinity. Consider a man, Jim. He is thinking about what he wants for dinner. He thinks, what is the I that is doing the wanting? As he begins to inspect this part of his mind, the part that is the I, he finds himself wondering how he is able to see it if it is not ultimately him. What now is inspecting the I? He again turns his mind further inward, looking at this new perspective, only to continually find himself outside of it. It is impossible for anything to determine itself, and consciousness is a collection of images that occur due to unconscious phenomena. There's only an immediate appearance that there is anything else, and it is difficult to accept the basic truth of the matter. Notions such as indeterminism simply provide another thing which antecedes the actual choice, as if an indeterministic cause could determine itself indeterministically. The truth of the matter might be such philosophy is entirely vain. The inquiry itself refutes the possibility of free will. Trying to figure out how or why something works is to assume it has a relationship with a cause or an internal mechanism. Figure out how and why things are is precisely what we do, and that follows from what we are.